So we're live on Facebook.
Yes, sir. 1 second. Here we go. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this Sunday afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than Brother Michael. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam, sir.
Yes, sir. And Brother Michael, what I wanted to, first of all, everyone who is watching, we want to make sure that we say Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. I know every day should be Father's Day, but it's not every day that we celebrate the fathers. So Happy Father's Day to everyone who was watching. And Happy Father's Day to our guests. Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Michael. Right now, social media there's a big buzz all over the country, but specifically for those who like to read on this magnificent book that I was sent. I've read, I've shared with my family, and then now friends, and of course the People's Podcast. What is the name of your book, sir? And how did that book come about?
Oh, wow. Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. That's a great question. The book came about through just my experiences in life and trying to find my way through life. And I thought that I should highlight that in a book so that others could see that they can make it through difficult times and actually being one of the lost in America. So that was the inspiration. I wanted to help others navigate what I had been through in this whole journey. My life has been based around spirituality, I think, from a very young child, because I grew up in a family where my mother and father were not pastors, but they would go to church 3 to 4 times a week, and they would drag us along with them. So I was always in church at a young age. And I had a grandmother who would also take me to church. So I was always in church at a young age. So I was learning about spirituality and God and Jesus. And so I guess going through my life's travels, that stayed in me, the just religion and God, and having a fear for God was established in me at a young age. And I don't know how I came up with the title for the book, but it was basically because I always was in positions that I didn't know what to do. And I would come to my father to ask my father, what should I do in these different situations? And my father would tell me to be a man and make a decision and stand by the decision. So I was lost, for navigating. So I just learned to just make a decision and live up to that decision and stand on the consequences of that decision. But so I really don't know how that came. So through that, I had a lot of difficulty in my life. So I felt like a lamb going to slaughter as the years went on. I'll be 70 next year. So I wrote this book. I was in my 50s. So coming from a young child, being in my 50s, I look back on what I went through, and I was like a lamb going to slaughter because I wanted to live a better life than what my parents could provide for me. But I didn't know what I was going into. So that's how I came up with a lamb going to slaughter. But then I start saying that I've heard those words in scripture before. So that's, it became more biblical because I heard those words in scripture, the lamb headed for the slaughter. So it was the Lord's will. I don't know. That's the only thing I can say. It was the Lord's will in my life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. For those people showing you love all across the country, can't wait to put this on YouTube. My sister Miriam says, Assalamu alaikum salam family, and Brother Nelson Ramos, alaikum salam, sir, all the way from Massachusetts. My question for you, sir, is in the book, you spoke about the influence of the movies such as The Mac and Superfly, like the street culture had on your life? Could you expound on that?
Wow. That makes me relate to what's going on today, because you see rap music, you see the lyrics that people listen to, and they don't realize, and I've learned later that helps shape my mentality. The music that I listen to, the movies that I watch as a young person. If I would have maybe later in years, like now, certain movies I can't watch because it's disturbing to me. A lot of violence and killing, it disturbs my spirit, so I can't watch it. But at a young age, you absorb that stuff and you don't know that it takes an effect on you. So we were, and I'm just not saying me, the whole group that I came up with. But why we were in an era of in Philadelphia where the mob was controlling the streets and they had money and jobs weren't readily available to everybody. You know, you had to have an inside track to really get a good job. It was jobs available, but it was a lot of organized chaos in Philadelphia in the 70s and 60s. And it was an experience to go through. And after you go through it, you become a victor of that experience. So I want to leave a roadmap to get through that. So that all that goes back to why I wrote the book and the life experiences in those eras later in life. And that's the beauty of becoming a senior. If you don't live long enough, you can't have those experiences that where you can look back on what happened and analyze it and say, wow, and say how God protected you in those different situations and you didn't even know it. But so that's the beauty of managing your life, how you eat so that you can live longer, how you eat, how you think so that you can live longer. And I'll be 70, like I said, I'll be 70 next year, brother. I feel like I'm 35. I mean, I do push-ups, pull-ups. I feel like I'm 35.
Mm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, great. And thank you all, everyone who continues to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. All right. Also in the book, you spoke about being set up by a girl and how that was your first time, I guess like trusting her coming into the home. I don't want to tell the story, but could you let us know what it felt like to be betrayed by a woman who you thought was interested in you? Could you let us know that story?
Wow. Right, brothers. And back then I had my own concepts and ideas of what was going on. But later, like I said, I got older, that's when I wrote the book. I was in my 50s and when I started. And it hit me that it was Yaqub's teachings. Man, because I just sit on the corners with these old heads and they used to tell me how to prey on the kindness of others. That was what a kind artist was. A person that can see your weaknesses and play on your weaknesses. And at a young age, by coming up in the church, I didn't think that was a good thing, but I was just there to learn. I was there seeking out how to survive without a job. And they knew all the tricks, man. How and it was Yaqub's teachers, man, because you have to lose a heart for other people to do some of the things that con artists do. And the sister was just a victim of circumstances. She was just someone told her to check out the environment so they can come in and do what they do. They're robbers. They just want to send somebody in to check out the environment. She was part of a bigger plan. But we grew up in the 70s and that was Yaqub's teachings. That's as clear as I can say it, because it was all how to survive and prey on other people and not be sympathetic for their conditions, but to benefit from their conditions. So like the minister said, we were turned into our enemy. We were turned into him.
Yes, sir. Powerful. Okay. Well, speaking of the minister and Yaqub's teachings, when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
I heard the teachings in the 72. That was my first encounter with going to prison in 72, the House of Correction in Philadelphia, House of Correction. And there is where I met the minister at that time was a brother named Derek Starks. And me and him became best friends. But I met him in the House of Correction, and he was teaching. He was the minister of the Nation of Islam, and I came in as a street hustler. I was just a street hustler trying to survive, selling marijuana, and ended up getting a charge. And I was in the House of Correction, and I met him and another brother named Carlos Terry in 72 at the House of Correction, and we became friends until today. We were still friends. You know what I mean? He's a year older than me, so he's 70 this year, and I'll be 70 next year. Matter of fact, he just had a stroke. Matter of fact, he just had a stroke a couple of days ago, man. So my prayers go out to him, Carlos Terry. He's had a stroke. He's getting better. He's getting better.
Oh,
he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. We all came from a long road of trials and tribulations. So we are warriors, and we gonna be fine, man. This is our day. To be alive today is a blessing. I don't know if young people know it or not, but today's are the days that older people prayed to be in this day and time that we're in. This is the days of manifestation of our greatness. And you know, for the book is the book, but the end of the book is when I become who I am today. At the end of the book, after all that has passed.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. I also wanted to ask you, sir, I want to talk about the person trying to rob you in the shooting incident and him surviving. Could you let us know what that was like?
Oh, wow. That I was very young, and like I said, I came right out of church and went on a corner with heroin users and dealers. And I knew nothing about the streets. And my father wasn't in the streets, but he was of the streets. And he didn't want me involved in the streets. So I had no guidance, but I didn't like the conditions that I was living in. And I said, man, I gotta find a way to make some money. And I seeked out jobs. You see in the book, I seeked out jobs, but I didn't have the patience to wait, you know, on the Lord. I didn't know about waiting on the Lord. I just had a desire as a young person, and I said, I'm going to go get it. I was always a go-getter. I'm going to make it happen. And so I was out there with these people and learning the streets, and I didn't know that I was a prey. I didn't realize I was, you know, anybody in that circle. There's no loyalty. There's no loyalty in Satan's world. It's just, you just have to realize that, you know what I mean? It's illegal. There's no real loyalty. The loyalty only comes from fear. If people's afraid that if they dishonor you, that there's consequences. But there's no true loyalty. It's just fear. And I had to learn that I was the prey. But then I say in a book, it came a time where I had to make a decision. Either I'm going to get out of this game, or I'm going to become just as treacherous as they are and stay in the game and make and get the ultimate goal, finances that I wanted, or end up in jail. And at that time, I knew the consequences. It is either I'm going to get the finances, or I'm going to jail, or I'm going to die. So you think that you can navigate that at a young age, but only by the will of God does people survive that. And I was one of the ones that survived. And there's many tragedies that people that didn't survive. But specifically that happened. I was trying to make my bones. I was becoming the independent dealer, and I was on the corner, and the guys used to find a way to steal whatever you stash, because you don't have it on you, you have it stashed somewhere. So guys will watch where you have whatever you have. In this particular time, I think I had just spent all my money to get as much as I could product to sell. And lo and behold, they tried this regular scheme, calling the cops when we run, then they'll go steal what you have. And you know, we in the streets, so it's no understanding of right or wrong. It's just survival. And I say in the book, I was always I had a little street smarts. You know, I had some guidance, and maybe the Lord was protecting me, but I always would have somebody watching whatever I left. So if I did run, at least if somebody took it, somebody could tell me who took it. And that's how I found out who took what they took. And a spirit just came over me that I didn't care what happened. He had to pay a price, because it was after someone had ran into they had already ran into my house. They didn't get anything, but they had already tried to intimidate me by running in my house. So I was waiting for the next person to try me, and he happened to be the one. So only by the grace of God did he survive, because I think I unloaded the gun right point blank at him. Only by the grace of God did he survive. And I have brothers today that did shootings that are in prison, that's been in prison since 76, 77. They're still in prison. That's why, you know, they're still in prison. So I could have been one of those brothers. Like my friend Carlos Terry just came home. He did 30 years. He just came home. The one just had the stroke. He just came home for 30 years. But it was a purification for us. And the Minister Louis Farrakhan is a great example of the process of manhood, you know, being a father, guiding others to manhood.
Powerful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you everyone who was watching. All right. And where can we get your book, sir?
It's on Amazon. Book is on Amazon right now. I'm working on the website. It'll be there. But right now, you can go to Amazon and get The Lamb in Line for the Slaughter by Michael Hickson, A Philadelphia Story.
Yes, sir. Now, I am an actor, so I always encourage the guests that if you are going to do a TV series or movies, don't forget about me, and I would love to be a part of it. Is this something that you are looking forward to getting into film or trying to turn
Yes,
it into
sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I want to talk with you further about that. We also are starting a podcast, some of the brothers that I'm associated with, and we want to link up with you so that we can take our guests from our show to your show, and we can create our own network. We already have brothers in place. So that's why I was so surprised when you reached out to me, because I've been working on some things for 20 years that I haven't launched, and only by the will of the Lord that you called me to stir me up to want to launch these products and services that we've been sitting on for a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, great. My next question for you is, what advice would you give to the generations under you about avoiding prison and or a life of crime, if you will, to go a different route? What advice would you tell them or us?
Well, the vibes are already in the air. The time is now. The sun is working for us. Everything's working in our favor. We're in the last days of Scripture. Is going to be hard times, but it's going to be beautiful times for the righteous. My father told me about a story where they said that the righteous would be among people, and it would be 10,000 dying on one side of you, 10,000 dying on the other side of you, but no harm would come to you. But we have to be among the righteous, those that are with Minister Farrakhan's son, those that are trying to do good things, trying to do the right things, trying to take care of your family, trying to do the right things, where you're going to be blessed. But it took me many years to know the value of doing good. It took me almost 60 years, because I just wanted money. But the scripture also says, seek ye first the kingdom of the Lord. and all things will come unto you. So I start holding on to that, and I start just studying. And you just look at my book, all the books I read, all of the time I spent listening to the minister, 4 or 5 listening to tapes over and over and over. You have to let this word come into you so it can manifest the beauty that's there in you. So the young people, man, you're living in the blessed time. We just have to tie into righteousness and doing the right thing to really boost your power.
Beautiful. All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. And people are showing you love all across the country. We have a few more questions for our guest, Brother Michael, but we have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. Here we go, sir. And thank you, everyone who continues to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast. Here we go. And Brother Michael, can we reach you on? Can we reach you online? Like, can people reach you on social media?
Well, yeah, I guess well, on the back of I have my email. I'm working on a website. The New Black Wall Street website is not up and running, but that will be something you can look forward to. The New Black Wall Street Companies LLC. But it's the New Black Wall Street Club.com. That's what is the website. The New Black Wall Street Club.com.
Perfect. Yes, sir. Okay, we're not gonna worry about that. All right. My next question is: have you ever been afraid? Have you ever been fear? Has you ever been faced with fear? And if so, how have you been able to overcome that fear?
Yes, I've been faced with fear many times. And to look at it on a bigger perspective, fear and difficulty, I look at it, it's the same thing. The fear and difficulty is just a trial to take you to a higher level. Either you survive the fear or the difficulty and go to a higher level, or you perish, or you have to go over it later in life. So I enjoy facing difficulty and fear because I know the benefit of surviving it, but because it happens so many times. As I'm saying, the older you get, you grow from believing in things into knowing things because you experience them so many times. So every time I have a trial, even a friend of mine, I'm going to mention Mahdi Salam, the ingenuous poet. He's the ingenuous poet laureate of Atlantic City. He has a campaign that he started called Too Young to Die. And he has a book that he's writing. We're almost in the end completion part of it. It's called The 8 Stages of Death. And it shows how he's died. He's flatlined 8 times. Different things happen to him, but each time it grew him to a different level spiritually, and it also slowed him down from negativities that he might have been involved in just in his personal life or personal character. And we almost finished the 8 stages of death, and he calls me yesterday and said he had a heart attack. And they give me to rush him in for some type of surgery. And I'm like, what? So, but then I'm looking, he still has some things to work on. We all do have some things to work on it. So now I said, now you're going to have 9 stages of death. But the 9 is a beautiful number. I said 8 was a good number, but now you got 9, brother. The 9 stages, man, that book, that's going to fly. That book's going to fly. The number 9.
Yes, sir.
So in difficulty and in the fear, man, is always a blessing around the corner. You just have to hold on and have that a spirit of the winner, the victor. We are the victors, brother. Y'all are the victors, man. This younger generation, y'all are the victors. We have survived, but y'all are the victors. I see it clear as day.
Oh, praise due to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, sir. All right. And my sister Naima says, Assalamu alaikum, family. Salam. Naima, I told Brother Michael that you got my book. You need to bring it back because she's all into the book. And I said, bring the book back, Naima, bring the book back. Okay, yes, sir. Our next question for you is, what advice would you give to future husbands?
Husbands. Wow. Look at what the minister says, because that's what I did. Man, look at the words of the minister, look at the words of ministers and brothers that have life experiences, that have put it on paper, they have books. And that's what we have to do, man. We have to start reading these books. And as we go forth and start creating movies, you have to read these movies. There's secrets in these lessons, in these stories, in these books. There's keys that can guide you. So that's how I got to where I am to manifest the things that I want in my life. And that's the best advice that I can give, is to follow the same path. Read the information that the brothers are passing down. We've been here what? We're almost 100 years old now. The Nation of Islam is almost 100 years old. The information been out there. You know what I mean? And now we getting ready to go into warp speed. That's another thing the Lord put on my heart to say, is those that haven't been listening and reading, now we're getting into warp speed. Only a chosen few is going to go to that next level. So you got to come on and start on a baby level to grow to where you need to go. But there's some of us, we're already on warp speed, man. So we need to come together and take this thing to the next level. It's our time.
Powerful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. My next question is, how's being a grandfather impacted you?
Beautiful. It's something that as you read the book, you see that I never experienced family life until I maybe 50 years old. True family life, because I was halfway in, and that's, you can't be halfway in and halfway out and expect to get the results of perfection, or striving for perfection, if you don't go all the way in. So now, in my 60s, man, it's a beautiful thing to be able to watch how they're growing, how their mind develops, and have input. It's a divine endeavor, man. It's a divine endeavor, man, to be around children and grandchildren.
Yes, sir. All right, great. What type of music do you listen to, Brother Michael?
I believe R&B and jazz, and jazz, but it's really something that moves my spirit, man. Some music, man, I could turn on, and it could even be rap. But if the beat moves my spirit, it's I guess everything in life, to me, as you get a certain age, everything either it taps into your spirit, or it doesn't. And if my words resonate with you, then we like-minded, and that's the way it is now. So, and certain music resonates with me. It could be rap, it could be jazz, but it has to have rhythm and something that gets my spirit moving.
Powerful. Yes, sir. And people are showing you love all across the country. Thank you all for continuing to watch. So you faced a lot in your book, being from prison to overcoming, just the underworld life, and now you're giving advice to all the generations under you, and we appreciate that. What would you like your legacy to be, sir?
Well, I'm gonna say it like this. My legacy, I would like to highlight those that benefited from the things that I tried to keep them away from. And I have a lot of nephews. I have a picture on my page, because you could also just follow me on my page, Michael Hickson. And I have a picture of my family. My father's still alive. I'll be 70 next year. My father's still alive. He's 86. And my mother's 86. She's still alive. So I have pictures of, I was out with my mother. I had pictures with my mother. I had pictures with my father, because I talked about them in the book. And they're both still alive, thriving.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. So we want everyone to make sure that we support our brother Michael. As he said earlier, he has a new podcast that he'll be starting with people, guests, and they'll be coming on with us. And we look forward to staying connected. Brother Michael, I want to thank you on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast for your sacrifices and the sacrifices of your family as well, sir. That you all are still here and, as you said, thriving in Philadelphia. So, and I'm glad that we were able to connect. Make sure everyone support our brother in his book. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off with the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam, sir.
Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you very much for watching, family. Happy Father's Day to you all.